Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This will be my full Loki Season 2 Episode 1 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references. Obviously we know this is going to cross over with Deadpool 3, so I'll explain how some of those connections work during the video too. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. We're also doing a Loki giveaway for Blu-rays during the episode videos. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and just post all your predictions for Loki Season 2. But careful for spoilers, if you haven't seen the episode yet, we'll just start at the beginning and work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments. Starting with the episode title, Ouroboros, which is a reference to Ke Huy Quan's new TVA character, and the concept just in general of Ouroboros time repeating. The name Ouroboros also means time eater, timeline eating itself, basically. Meant to flow with the whole idea of the time-slipping storyline in episode 1 and the timeline itself rebooting after He Who Remains was killed by Sylvie, then them trying to literally fix the actual physical timeline itself. They start with an updated version of the Marvel Studios logo. They usually update the Marvel Studios intro logos every time there's like a brand new series or brand new movie, just incorporating the brand new characters into it for whatever comes next. So this is coming after the Secret Invasion series. We have Emilia Clarke's Gaia character, for instance. The actual opening scene begins in the exact moments of the Season 1 finale with Loki going on the run because Mobius the others don't know him because he time-slipped into the past of the TVA and none of those characters had actually met him yet, so they just treat him like a normal variant. Oh, we have to arrest him. And in the past, apparently He Who Remains Kang wasn't hiding his identity from all the different TVA agents. Just at some point in the future, he decided to create the Timekeepers so that he could withdraw to his citadel at the end of time. He winds up jumping a TVA mail truck, trying to escape, nearly crashes into Casey. And really big Easter egg here too, because Casey is apparently having some insomnia issues, but he's listening to the same Staying Awake podcast that Stephen Grant was listening to during the Moon Knight series.
Calm your mind and relax.
And welcome to Staying Awake. Let's start with trying to solve a puzzle. Solving puzzles is a great way to keep your mind awake.
But you notice this version of the TVA control room is a little bit different because it's earlier in the timeline. He winds up cracking the TVA symbol in the floor so that they recognize what happened in the future. Like, wait a minute, I just did that. But basically the idea is that he's gone out of sync with the timeline because of what happened with all the different timelines freeing, and the device that processes raw time into He Who Remains sacred timeline, like this is how he actually created the sacred timeline, like there's a device that literally creates it, isn't designed to handle all the different branches, and if it were to theoretically explode, basically all time and space would collapse on itself. One way to destroy the multiverse. I cannot wait to see how Loki and Sylvie destroy the multiverse this season. Like each season it gets a little bit worse, each different Marvel character just trying to blame each other, who's trying to destroy reality the fastest. Doctor Strange with his incursions, you have Loki and Sylvie freeing the Council of Kangs, all these different variants, then you have Deadpool who is probably really gonna mess up the multiverse. Not to leave Spider-Man out of this either. Then during the special Loki version of the intro, they have the same Loki theme music from Season 1. It is the same basic shifting Loki titles. All the different characters in the Loki name that shift are meant to represent the different Loki variants. Back in the control room, Mobius and Hunter B-15 are in the aftermath of the Season 1 finale. Like this is still present day. The timelines are going all over the place, all wonky because He Who Remains is dead and all the timelines have been freed. And they're trying to figure out what to do about this. Like, should we tell everybody that they're variants? We should, shouldn't we?
Think about it. Everything you've been doing is wrong, and all your gods are dead. How are people gonna take that?
Basically, the entire TVA is thrown into complete chaos. They get into this with the TVA Judges Council in a second. Don't worry, I'll talk about that because I think there are a couple of twists that they threw at us. There might be a character who's not exactly who they say they are. Mobius tries to use Miss Minutes to track down Loki, even though we know she's super sinister now, and they explain that she's not functional because they basically killed He Who Remains King, and I think that's what made this version of Miss Minutes to go inactive. But what they did at the end of time affects Miss Minutes across the entire timeline, so that's why even back during the present here, when they come back to present day, Miss Minutes is the same across all points in time and space. So they disable Miss Minutes in the future, it also disables her across the entire timeline. But because we have all the Kang variants, like we have the Victor Timely Kang, he has his own version of Miss Minutes that looks a little bit different. So we'll see Miss Minutes come back during the season in different ways. They have a real big callback to Mobius's jet skis from Season 1 when another agent, Hunter X5, gets all interested in his magazine, really making you wonder if they're going to put Mobius on a jet ski eventually, because he gets really technical on jet skis.
Jet skis, sea-doos.
You know, the funny thing about jet skis, everyone thinks that it's a personal watercraft, and it's actually a brand.
Maybe they'll save that for like Deadpool 3, because we know he's going to be in the Deadpool 3 movie. That feels like a really wacky thing, like actually putting him on a jet ski. You might recognize Hunter X5 here. He's played by Brad Wolfe, who also shows up in the trailer at the Zaniac movie premiere. That might be a variant of X5, or it might be the actual X5. We don't really know yet. He just seems a little bit sus, as does General Dox, who's kind of treating him like mommy's special boy. Like, there's just something weird going on with those two characters. So keep your eye on Hunter X5. He explains that because Renslayer has vanished and they know what Renslayer did, like the other judges know what she did, the other ones are trying to decide on the judges' council what to do next. General Dox and Judge Gamble, for instance. There's another judge there, but he's asleep most of the time, so just kind of a joke, like he's just barely awake. Mobius then runs into one of the other hunters who pruned him last season on Renslayer's orders. Very apologetic, seems like water under the bridge though, like yeah, whatever. And when Loki slips back to the past, he goes into the war room. There's this mural of Kang faces, but it's he who remains Kang. The multiple faces, though, are also meant to represent the different Kang variants. Basically, the whole concept of the Council of Kangs. Back in present day in the war room, the TVA Judges Council is just deciding what to do about everything that's just happened. Loki's message about them all being variants, whether or not they think it's true. And for the most part, the council decides that it is true because they do look at evidence like, oh, this other hunter said that they saw a variant of these other characters. But the real big thing here is that General Dox, who's basically in charge of the TVA right now, is played by Kate Dickie from Game of Thrones. Most of you remember her as Lysa Arryn. She was crazy on that series. I cannot wait to see what kind of havoc she wreaks on Loki. She's probably going to be pretty fun. The rumor about her character right now, too, and there are a couple moments during the episode that kind of support this evidence, is that she secretly might wind up being an older variant of Sylvie, just pretending to be this General Dox character. We'll see about that, but there are a couple moments during the episode and some evidence that she's not who she says she is. Like, she has information that the other people don't have, that only Sylvie would have. This time, though, in this version of the War Room in present day, Kang's faces have been covered up by the Timekeepers because it's after he created the concept of the Timekeepers, and one of their heads is on the table from season 1 where they cut it off. There are a couple of their faces around the TVA walls, too. They're meant to depict the other judges that are ruling over the TVA, like this judge's face is behind her on the wall. You notice the lights on the table, too, in the middle. They represent the actual timeline. You can see the little lights branching out, showing you the branching timelines. It's the War Room, and it's basically the map of the timeline in its current state. Then we get a really big info dump on Kang and Ravonna Renslayer's backstory. So Loki starts using the old school tape player. These are actually really cool. They're actually worth a lot of money now. Because this is in the past, it's like right after the creation of the TVA. He hasn't created the Timekeeper, so he isn't hiding who he is. That's why there's a recording of this here, because this is like the distant past. He drops a really big Marvel Comics reference saying that you are a Marvel, quote-unquote, Ravonna Renslayer. It explains that she was very helpful to him winning the Kang Multiverse War, confirming that she was a big part of that first Kang Multiverse War.
Ravonna Renslayer, you are quite a marvel. I will be proud to lead with you. You made a difference in this war. Thank you for being on my team.
Now we learned that she's a variant from present day, so I think the idea is that Kang from the distant future started fighting the Kang Multiverse War, then at some point he traveled to the past, met her, and then pulled her out of time, and she started working with him, and they started their relationship. But basically he's telling her, I'd be happy to rule over the TVA with you, and it's basically like the beginning of their comic book relationship, because in the comics they are love interests. This explains how she survived at the end of season 1. She got a mysterious message, quote-unquote, that Miss Minutes gave her from He Who Remains Kang, and it was basically him telling his love interest, whose mind he'd wiped multiple times probably at this point because she didn't seemingly remember all that stuff, giving her an escape route, like you need to jump to this time portal, follow my instructions if you want to survive. She'll show up later in the season with Victor Timely Kang, so I think it'll explain a little bit more about her backstory with Kang. Then Loki jumps back to present day in the War Room and reveals the Kang faces behind the Timekeepers, and everybody, for the most part, starts to believe what he's saying. Like, as crazy as it sounds, oh, this is all lie. The Timekeepers are fake. Now here's where we get to the mystery of General Dox and her motivations. So after they all agree to stop pruning alternate timelines, like, okay, we need to stop doing this right now, we're killing innocent people, General Dox immediately goes on the warpath and says, we need to get Sylvie right now, and makes a reference to the end of time, when nobody actually in the room had ever referenced Kang being at the end of time. Loki didn't even tell them the truth about He Who Remains at the end of time till later in the episode, so she knew before that. The only way that she would know about that is if she was either Sylvie herself, like an older version of Sylvie, or if she was also from the future. So it just seems like she has some special information, and she particularly takes an interest in Sylvie, like she sends a legion of hunters after Sylvie, I think to prevent her from wreaking more havoc, because this older version of Sylvie, maybe could be another character, wants to prevent younger Sylvie from doing whatever it is that they're doing this season. Either way, it just seems like the focus now is on this older General Dox, like you really need to keep an eye on her and what's going on with Sylvie's storyline this season. But basically, this older character is meant to be the main antagonist of the season. It won't be another Kang variant. Like Victor Timely Kang isn't meant to be the main villain. It's not going to be another variant of Kang. The Council of Kangs will be involved, but they won't be the main villains. My early theory is that we'll find out who General Dox really is by like episode 4 or episode 5. But we'll probably have some more evidence before that. Post all your theories in the comments below. Like clearly she is not who she says she is. Then Loki continues to recap the finale for Mobius with Alioth, the Citadel at the end of time. They stand under a mural of the Timekeepers depicting the Kang Multiverse War, and Loki kind of re-explains that too. Like, look, all the Kang variants are coming. There's going to be a new Kang Multiverse War, basically describing the events of what will happen during Avengers Kang Dynasty with the Council of Kangs coming for the main Avengers. They have a lot of great chemistry together, like a lot of regular scenes of them just talking like bros, and a couple of funny moments, with Loki calling his fight with Sylvie at the end of time a draw when Mobius suggests that she won. No, it was a draw. What are you talking about? I wasn't trying to fight her. I could have totally won if I was trying to fight her.
I'd ask who won, but
It was a draw.
That's part of that old hubris joke, like Loki thinks of himself always as the superior Loki. They call it like, who is the best Loki variant? They call it the superior Loki. But the bigger joke is that every Loki variant thinks of themselves as the superior Loki. He makes sure to tell Mobius that Miss Minutes is totally sus. Like, don't try to use your tempad here to get more information from her because she'll probably deceive you. But she's not working anyway because I explained earlier, she's basically been disabled across the entire timeline. The Mobius takes into the basement of the TVA, like the very bottom level of the TVA where Ouroboros works, Ke Huy Quan's character. The interesting thing about how he came on the series, he actually said that after Everything Everywhere All at Once came out, the very first person in all of Hollywood that called him to either congratulate him or call him for any reason was Kevin Feige, who called to say how awesome he was and to please join the MCU in a project. And that just wound up being Loki Season 2 because they were getting ready to start filming that. So far, he's great. I love his energy. He feels like he steals all the scenes that he's in, so it'll be fun to see what he does for the rest of the series. But the whole idea is that he's meant to have created all the TVA's technology, built everything, even created the manual for how everything works across the TVA, every minor to major system with Kang's help, like he was there at the very beginning. They explain the whole concept of Loki's time slipping and how he's out of sync with time itself. And it's all because of the branching timelines overloading this processing device that turns raw time into the actual timeline. There are a couple funny moments with Loki's time slipping too, like they kind of play on this idea where he learns things in the past and then you see the timeline correct in present day and he suddenly starts remembering things like, oh yeah, I actually did meet that Loki person. I did create this device. They call it a temporal oral extractor, and they're basically going to prune Loki and then pull him, separate him from the timeline, and hopefully that's going to resync him. The only thing about that is they explained during season 1, when you prune someone, it automatically sends them to the Void Planet, but I think the way around explaining that is that this temporal extractor device basically rips Loki from all points in time and space in the timeline, so it doesn't really matter where he is. So when they use it, it doesn't really matter if he's in the distant future on this Void Planet. He could be anywhere in the timeline and the device would still work. There are a bunch of power surges across the TVA, and they basically let you know that if they don't fix the actual timeline device here, everything is going to be ripped apart. The timeline itself will just completely blow up. All of time and space will collapse on itself. There are a couple moments during the episode where you actually see the readout on the main screen, and it looks like that's about to happen. Like, the timeline looks like it's about done. The interesting thing here, though, on the door is when they were opening with the X shape here, the eye in the center, reminded me of the door to Cerebro in all the X-Men movies. And we do have X-Men showing up real soon. They just announced that they're working on the actual X-Men solo movie. Maybe we'll see some Easter eggs for mutants at some point during the season. They keep talking about mutants like we have Namor from Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We have the Miss Marvel character. We'll see more mutants before the X-Men solo movie happens. They explained that before the events of Season 1, Miss Minutes had run everything on her own, and now she's out of commission, so it's got all chaotic, freeing all the timelines, infinite branches, everything going crazy. And the basic solution is to just retrofit this so that it can handle all the branching timelines so that you don't have to prune all these alternate timelines like they used to do in the TVA. Mobius suits up in one of those giant spacesuits that they put a bunch of duct tape on. Turns out duct tape can help fix anything, even super advanced technology. I'm sure there's a bunch of Kang variants out there fighting the Kang Multiverse War using duct tape to do it. Gonna flex tape the universe. This time, Loki time slips into the future but loses the pruning wand. But here's the thing, gets a phone call and finds Sylvie prying open the doors to an elevator, and it's Sylvie that saves him by pruning him just in time. So a lot of people are like, wait a minute, when did Sylvie come from in the timeline? Like, how did she wind up here? Thinking about typical time travel tropes, I think that this Sylvie that saved him on the elevator here was from the future, and she knew it was going to happen, or someone told her, so she went back to this moment so that she could save him. But that doesn't explain who was trying to call him on the phone, and that actually might wind up early theory. It was actually Loki himself from the future that was trying to warn him about everything was happening with Sylvie this season, and that gets into the whole General Docs plot. Either way, this was not also Sylvie that was calling him. Then as they save Loki, General Docs takes a legion worth of hunters after Sylvie. Like I said, really sus, keep an eye on her. Then during the end credits, it's the same style as the season 1 credits, but all the scenes they depict are new. This is Loki's file. There's a timekeeper head on the war room from earlier in the episode. Some of the stuff is from future episodes too, like there's a TVA keyboard, typewriter. All the sticky notes reference events that happened in this episode, probably in future episodes too. There are a lot of tropes of time travel stories on these too. Like this one says Amulet's Curse, one says Pool of Deception, Dream State Parallax, one says Phylaxian Calendar. Let me know if you think you spotted any other Easter eggs in a lot of these messages here. Some of them I think are meant to be kind of random. There's another batch of case reports, the TVA symbol on the floor. It's meant to look like Kang's face with his 2 eyes and the symbol of time between them, like the hourglass between them, turned into a sword. And the metaphor is Kang using time as a weapon. That's the funny thing, is that like Kang was there the whole time. Like this has been the TVA symbol the whole time, even though he hid behind the timekeepers at some point. The symbol was always there. It was always Kang's face. He was always watching them at all times, everywhere. The keyline pi is from the automat. I think that's a moment from episode 2. There's another monitor with Miss Minutes on it. This looks like the blueprints for the machine that converted raw time into the sacred timeline, like them actually building the device itself in the first place. The book on black holes is meant to be a funny callback to the joke about turning into spaghetti when you fall into one. There are more buttons in the automat. Seeing all this food, all this coffee actually makes me want some of it now. There's the old school tape deck with that recording, providing more backstory about Ravonna Renslayer and Kang, the TVA systems going all haywire, not sure who the monkey belongs to. Then on the desk, there's files with pictures of Loki, General Docs, V5, Ouroboros, the other judge, but notice there's no file with Mobius on it, so these might be Mobius's files and him just collecting evidence trying to figure out the connection between all the characters. There's a flash of Sylvie's McDonald's from the 1980s. There's a TemPad that's gone haywire with Miss Minutes telling them, nope, we're done, this is it. There are a couple of shots of He Who Remains Citadel at the end of time after the events of his death because we know we're going back there, I think in episode 2. They referenced that during General Docs' conversation in the war room. She said, we need to go to the end of time to find out what happened. But like I said, at that point, Loki hadn't revealed that part of the story, so she would have only known if she was either from the future or if she was a version of Sylvie herself. Still a lot of questions with her character. Then I'm not sure what the Zartan contingent is a reference to. There's no Marvel characters named Zartan. This seems like a reference to something that will happen later this season, but let me know in the comments if you think that Zartan is something from Marvel Comics. There's a quick shot of the TVA handbook, which they joke contained detailed instructions on every single thing in the TVA. Like, if you have a question, it's answered in this book, and apparently nobody ever bothers to read the manual, which is just a real-life thing. Like, this is a joke on people in real life. Nobody ever bothers to read manuals when they're trying to build stuff. There was a funny video of Henry Cavill building a computer that I posted a long time ago, and everybody freaked out when they saw him in the video reading the manual. Like, look at the Giga Chad reading the manual to build that. Then they have a post-credit scene to explain what happened to Sylvie after the end of season 1. So, example, this Sylvie is the Sylvie that just left this moment right here at the end of time, not the Sylvie that saved Loki in the elevator. That's why we'll find out where this Sylvie came from in the future in a future episode when she eventually joins the team again. This Sylvie is meant to leave He Who Remains Citadel after he died, travels to a new branch timeline in Broxton, Ohio, 1982, and wanders into a random McDonald's. This is how the showrunner explains why she stays at the McDonald's and starts working there. Like she says, I'll have everything. And the whole idea is a play on McDonald's slogan, McDonald's, the happiest place on earth.
I want to try everything.
The idea is that Sylvie is trying to hide out in the happiest possible place on earth, and she thinks that it's this McDonald's. The way they said they came up with that idea is that Sylvie herself, when she was growing up, she was always on the run. She never had any birthdays or like happy memories with people. It was always just day to day with her. So that's why when she walks into the McDonald's and she starts looking around, seeing people just enjoying themselves, having fun, like birthday parties, couples having a nice time together, a bunch of friends celebrating together, and she just wants to stay around that kind of positive energy. It'll be funny to see how Loki tries to explain why she needs to come back. Before the season came out, they also had a bunch of funny McDonald's promos with them coming to the McDonald's and finding her. I think some of this is footage from episode 2. They sold special sauce that was branded as Loki sauce, but it was just regular McDonald's special sauce. They even turned a Brooklyn McDonald's into like the 1980s branded Loki version of McDonald's for a couple weeks. Let me know in the comments if you ever got your hands on any of that special Loki sauce. Just to explain the Deadpool of this all, the whole idea is that the TVA is meant to be a big character, or characters multiple, during Deadpool 3, because Deadpool's hopping around the different timelines. He gets on the TVA shit list.
Hey, it's me. Don't scratch. Just cleaning up the timelines.
But the movie is meant to directly set up Avengers 6 Secret Wars, and the whole idea is the TVA is rescuing people from different universes that are collapsing because of the incursions, and just puts them all on what's going to be the MCU Battleworld. I'm not expecting Deadpool himself to actually show up during the Loki episodes, but there might be some references to this in the background towards the end of the season. Maybe some kind of post-credit scene, and I think that Tom Hiddleston filmed some scenes for Deadpool 3, but we do know that Mobius and Miss Minutes will be in the movie, and a couple of the other Hunter characters. There was a bunch of stuff going on in the episode, a bunch of things that they were setting up for this season, so if you spotted any other Easter eggs or references, or you have any questions about the episode that I didn't talk about during this video, just write them below in the comments. My episode 2 trailer video will post Saturday morning. They're also doing the Boys Gen V episodes, so my Gen V episodes will post like Friday nights after I post my Loki episodes every week. Click here for that episode 2 trailer video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that, and click here for my new Ahsoka Season 2 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe and maximum effort.